Yes, exactly. Which is why we're playing. You know, I mean, we're not Israeli citizens. We're not Lebanese citizens. You know, we are sort of an international rock band, and why shouldn't we? We bring when we play on stage, we bring a message of peace, love, and understanding. And why else? Where else than places that are a little bit excitable? Where else would better place to play? You know, and to bring that message, you know, to the people. You know.
Mahmoud from Beyrouth.com. Welcome to Lebanon, guys. Can you tell us more about the new album and what is Lebanon expecting from our concert?
A loud, energetic, passionate performance. You know, it's a rock and roll show. It's not a magic show. You know.
What about the new album?
What about it?
Tell us more about it.
It's wicked.
You're gonna play a lot of it.
Yes. Yeah, and you know, singles and classic Placebo songs. Also some obscure numbers, some B-sides, and a brand new song which has never been released.
Rock and roll series of sex adventures, but in the last album it was a little bit different. Battle for the Sun was more emotional, more strong. So how mature have you become?
Well, I completely disagree with you, and I think it's very reductive. Your description of our first 5 albums, you know, I don't think that they're inspired by what you described at all, you know, and I think that I've talked a lot of bullshit in my life. I tell you one thing, you know, if people didn't ask me bullshit questions, then I wouldn't give bullshit answers. Not saying that your question was bullshit, but, you know, but listen, you know, it's extremely reductive, you know, to sort of, to say that these are the, you know, first of all, you don't live my life, you don't know what the inspiration was in the first place, you know, for a great deal of songs, you know. It's very, very easy to sort of describe us as that kind of band, and we are not at all. Certainly, Battle for the Sun has a different atmosphere and a different vibe to its predecessor, but if you go back and you look at historically, what we've done is that every time we've made a record, we have reacted in an artistic way, quite strongly against its predecessor. And if you have a look at Meds, which is a very, very dark record, you know, we reacted against that, and we wanted to make something that was a little bit brighter this time round, you know.
So, Battle for the Sun is just, and its optimism is just a reaction to Meds, or is there...
Well, no, it's not only a reaction. I mean, everything is quite complex, you know, which is why I take offense to it being so reductive, you know, but don't worry, you know, I'm not pissed off or anything, you know, but it's obviously very, very complex. It's, you know, that's an element of it, certainly, but then, you know, we don't make music in a complete vacuum, you know, what happens in your life, you know, has an effect on the kind of art that you create as well, you know, and you have control over certain aspects of your existence, and you don't have control over certain aspects of your existence. You know, you live in the Middle East, you should know that pretty damn well.
Some media just said that the departure of Steve Hewitt was behind this optimism in your latest album.
Well, that's possible. You know, the thing is that before his departure, you know, we were very unhappy. Which is what, you know, kind of drove created the need for a separation and a change of personnel. So obviously, yes, you know, when you know, you get a new guy in the band, you know, and you know you have, you know, and you know that you have a future and you're going to be able to make another record, you know, of course you're going to be a bit optimistic, you know.
Mahmoud from Beyrouth.com. Welcome to Lebanon, guys. Can you tell us more about the new album and what is Lebanon expecting from our concert?
A loud, energetic, passionate performance, you know. It's a rock and roll show. It's not a magic show, you know.
What about the new album?
What about it?
Tell us more about it.
It's wicked.
You're gonna play a lot of this.
Yes. Yeah, and, you know, singles and classic Placebo songs. Also some obscure numbers, some B-sides, and a brand new song which has never been released, you know. So absolutely, yeah.
was actually terrific and amazing, and we all loved it. How can you define the difference in how this band has evolved in the last album? And for me, I thought it has really evolved musically, a little bit more emotionally.
Well, we were probably sort of on the verge of, like, if we were going to continue as we were before we changed the personnel for Battle for the Sun, probably going to stagnate, and plateau. And what happens is that when you plateau, you only can plateau for a certain amount of time before there's an inevitable decline, and we weren't prepared to accept that as a possibility, so having been in this band for the majority of our, 90% of our adult life, and having invested so much blood, sweat, and tears into this, we weren't prepared to give it all up because we had grown apart as people. So, if it has enough value for you, then you make a great deal of effort, to preserve and to improve,
I have another question that everyone else to ask. But the people that Julian, Deacon Tom, and Nancy Boy, how do you get these figures? How do you get inspired with this story? Are these real people that you meet often?
To me they are. To me they're real, To me they exist. And, there's a certain element of myself, and there's a certain sort of, narrative tool which sort of makes them into a sort of an everyman figure, but and they're also specifically sometimes inspired by people I know. So, I mean, it's just, I'm a storyteller, so I sort of take a lot of, but I'm making a point with each individual song, so, I sort of take real life, real emotion, and sort of, tell a story about it to try and make a point, I suppose.